This video has been developed for two groups of people, for team coaches and for goalkeepers themselves. Coaches often feel unsure in giving information to their goalkeepers. If coaches have never played in goal, they may be uncomfortable with regard to some of the intricacies of the position. Because the goalkeeper can use the hands in the penalty area, it produces very different considerations to those of the field players. One of the primary objectives of this video is to dispel some of the mysteries surrounding the goalkeeping position. At the same time, we will empower the team coach with the knowledge to evaluate a goalkeeper's performance and so be able to plan and conduct practice sessions that help develop that goalkeeper and help correct their deficiencies. From the goalkeeping perspective, this video is designed to help you evaluate your own performance and also to let you know the most important considerations you should be working on. We will also suggest practices that can help you in a team situation or when you are practicing with another keeper or even when just kicking around with one or two friends. Our three goalkeeper demonstrators starring in this video represent three stages in the development of a goalkeeper. Tony is just starting out as a keeper, but also plays on the field for half a game, and we think that is right. At 12 or 13, it's too early to make a permanent commitment to a specific position, whether that be as a striker, a midfield player, a back defender, or as a goalkeeper. Caitlin, on the other hand, has decided that goalkeeping is her position. 15 or 16 is probably the right time to decide where you could be most effective in the team and which position maximises your abilities. And Caitlin has hung her hat, or should it be her gloves, firmly on the goalkeeping position. Kevin is a mature goalkeeper and no longer a youth player. He is now involved in the demands of competitive adult play. At this stage, there is little margin for error and limited tolerance from teammates and coaches for making basic mistakes. The maturing goalkeeper needs to understand the broader implications of the goalkeeper role and the tactics involved in becoming not only an effective goalkeeper, but also a valued team member. All of this begs the question of when should children become goalkeepers? As children start out in soccer, these days as early as 5 or 6 years of age, they should have no set positions. Every player should have the opportunity of scoring a goal and of stopping a goal being scored. So all players are attackers, defenders and goalkeepers, and the coach should give every player the opportunity and the fun of learning all the skills of the game. This video will make extensive use of pro footage, showing top goals doing it and occasionally getting. First though, we want to highlight the 10 key principles of goalkeeping. If the team coach and the goalkeeper understand these 10 principles, much of the mystique of the goalkeeping position will disappear forever. As we see in the video, the hands are the leaders, and they are put forward in front of the body with the palms facing the ball. How the rest of the body will be arranged behind the hands will completely depend on the size and shape of the goalkeeper. We will touch upon that later, but it wouldn't make a lot of sense to have the knees immediately behind the hands, as this body shape infringes upon at least two of the principles of goalkeeping. We can see here that the fingers are almost touching in the hand position for the low ball. It can be likened to a jellyfish, as the tentacles of the fingers hang down. Whereas with the ball coming at waist height, the hand position doesn't change very much, except the hands are welcoming the ball into the body as they receive the ball. Note that the palms are still extended and facing outward to receive the ball. For high balls, the same principles apply. The palms are facing the ball, the fingers, in this case the thumbs, are touching or almost touching, and a window is formed between the hands so the eyes are able to see the incoming ball. In the last example, and this is the awkward one, a ball coming in at eye height, it means the window begins to close a little. This is a difficult ball. So in the previous example, we call the hand position the high W. In this case, at eye height, we're talking about a high piano position because we want to be able to collect the ball without it being pushed up and potentially over the head. If there's going to be an error, it will be better that the ball drops down where a quick recovery will save the day. One very good reason for getting the hands right is that if the hands are not right, the body behind it is all wrong too. In this example here, we see that the lazy goalkeeping actions have in effect taken away the use of the right hand. To get the hand position right, the goalkeeper for this type of ball would need to turn the palms out, and in doing so would compel the rest of the body to follow. This would result in a short sideways dive or a collapse to the side, and would then is used to help secure the ball or to help cushion the fall after catching a high dive. Note too the head position. While the head is looking through the window, it is not relaxed. It is slightly pulled up to prevent the body rolling on the back. More about that when we come to the second principle. So we can see here with the keeper's ground position, it is a comfortable one, with the hands again being the leaders and the use of the third hand, the ground, to help secure the ball. Having got to this stage in the save, the next action will be to hide the ball away by pulling it in towards the chest. And we see here with Kevin, as he makes that little side dive, he gets the hand right, goes down, keeps the head up, hand on top of the ball, one hand behind the ball, third hand helping trap the ball. So as we now do a little guided tour to see just how those hands are being maximised. From the front position, the window of goalkeeping is very clear to see. The hands are the leaders, and we'll see that better as we move around. Not only are they leading, but also those shock absorbers are there, and this could be very useful if when a shot is made, there was a slight misjudgment and the ball comes in a little bit higher than you first thought. As a keeper, you still have a margin of error of 3 to 4 inches before getting into a fully extended position. As we go around to the back of Kevin, again you can see that window. You can see the W position of the hands with the forefingers and thumbs forming the W. That helps make sure the ball doesn't slip through the hands. So look at the sideways position once more. Shock absorbers, the hands are the leaders, comfortable position of the hands, not at full extension. Back to the front and we see once more how the window is kept wide open. Some action to reinforce maximising the hands. Kevin here takes a low bouncing ball into the waist, receives it and hides it away. Some people talk about getting the ball and putting it in the bank. Similarly, with this high ball, you can see how the ball is taken in advance. The shock absorbers are there and it becomes a comfortable catch for the goalkeeper. We'll talk more about body shape in a moment. Finally, with this catch here, and this is quite a high ball, with the arms becoming extended. Had this ball been a little bit higher, a decision would have to be made whether to catch or whether to punch or deflect the ball away from danger. Finally, it must be understood that the hands most times are the receivers. They don't beat the ball away. They receive the ball in the same way a field player would receive a ball from a teammate and control it. The advantage with the hands is that you can receive it and then hide it away from the opposition. So catch and hug. Have you hugged your ball today? In the pro footage we see here, even though the white team takes a very good free kick, the goalkeeper is able to fly across the goal and complete the save with a very good catch. The hands save the day. Same here. A high ball is very easily taken by the goalkeeper, who is then ready to start the attack. In the next example, the ball takes a deflection, and yet the goalkeeper, because of the great advantage of the hands, is able to make an adjustment and catch that ball. And finally, with a cross coming in and a particularly good header by the attacker, the goalkeeper now has to go at full extension, one-handed, to make a phenomenal save. Obviously, the goalkeeper could not have headed that one out, and that's why the extension of the body because of the arms and the advantage of the hands is seen at its most effective. The next principle of goalkeeping is body shape. Kevin is smiling here because we asked him to make himself look more like a gorilla rather than a US Marine. His hands are dangling fairly loosely, the body is curving in towards the field of play, the nose should be pointing downwards towards the ball, and the body is balanced forward on the balls of the feet. This gorilla position is a little exaggerated, hence Kevin's smile, but it gives you an excellent picture of the shape we're looking for in goalkeeping. Some other people feel that the position to take up prior to any real action is more like a gunslinger from the old Wild West. But as you can see, as the hands come up, we're getting a bit more upright, and we don't want the goalkeeper to be standing too straight. Just to exaggerate that situation, if he stood up straight with the hands up, it's a surrender position. Look at the shape now from the side view. The weight is rocked back onto the heels. Whereas in the gorilla position, the concaving body and the weight on the balls of the feet rather than on the heels is the basic body shape of the goalkeeper. As Kevin moves in to catch the high ball, again look very keenly at the body shape. We saw this earlier when we were talking about the hand position, and the hands are right here, but it's the rest of the body that we need to look at also. Shock absorber arms, the knee driving up, the toe of the trailing leg extended like a ballerina. If we turn Kevin around and put him on the ground, it would be almost the identical body shape of a ground save, and we'll come to that in a minute. So in the second example, not only does Kevin catch the ball with the correct body posture, but the ball is then dropped down and hidden away from any incoming predator. Look carefully at how that is done. The ball is received high. The hands then start pulling the ball down. But in order to secure the ball and hide it in the bank, the hands have to be moved from the back of the ball around to the front as it drops down past the head and into the security of the chest, palms and hands. This is gravity at work, and with practice this will become a natural technique that won't even require thinking about. So let's look at the body shape on the ground. Kevin is now in the snooze position and looks wonderfully relaxed. It's almost the goalkeeping shape we want, but not quite. So we better put the ball in place and just look at the subtle differences from the snooze position to the real goalkeeping position. First of all, we need to make sure we've got that ball secured. We talked earlier about the third hand being the ground. So let's take a guided tour around Kevin. Look at the head now as differently from the snooze position. The head has come off the ground, and this is necessary to ensure that the shoulder doesn't roll backwards. Have a look too at the upper leg where the knee is being pulled in towards the ball, but not so far to make it uncomfortable. And then look at the lower leg. It's trailing, but it's not straight. It's still relaxed at the knee, but not pulled in to the same extent as the upper knee. So we need to have that lower leg trailing and the upper leg, as we can see here, in a slightly elevated position pulled in towards the chest. As well, remember that every goalkeeper will be different, and the leg and body action we've just described won't be the same, but it will be very similar. The final act from this situation here would be for Kevin to pull in and hide the ball away from any opposing player. We're back to the exaggerated snooze position here, and you can see the problem. If the head is allowed to relax too much and go towards the ground, it rolls the keeper over on his back and exposes the ball, inviting someone to go in and kick it into the back of the net, not to mention the risk of injury through incorrect goalkeeping. Again, getting the body at full stretch, even though it's still a side diving position, looks and is most uncomfortable, and extends an invitation to the opposition to go in and try and kick the ball. Just as bad is our belly flopper here. It might be good fun in the pool, although even that can hurt, but not good fun for the goalkeeper, as it's very difficult not only to catch the ball, but also to see the ball in the final stages of the dive because of an impaired vision brought about by the left arm. As we see here, the exaggerated belly flop produces the momentum to push the ball away from the goal, whereas with our side diving position, which we see here in this collapsing save with the ball close to the body, it is not only much more comfortable, but helps keep the ball within the range of the body of the goalkeeper. However, it's not always possible to be able to catch the ball with two hands and hide it away from the opposition. On this save, Kevin decides that he can't get both hands comfortably to the ball in the time he has to make the save, so chooses to extend his lower arm and hand to deflect the ball to the side of the goal. One of the tricks here is to use the heel of the palm as the deflecting surface. We'll see a bit later on that Kevin's apparent comfortable position here shouldn't last more than a split second, because if the ball stayed in play, he'd better get on his feet, PDQ. Once more, we should look very keenly at the leg position of the goalkeeper. We've already said that the lower leg should be trailing in the side diving position. If we bring both legs around at the same time, you can see here how distance on the dive has been lost. So it's very important to leave that lower leg trailing, and that for the momentum of the body to be moving sideways, not swinging around, as the legs will force the body to do here. We'll find out later how important decision making is to the goalkeeping role. Can you catch the ball, or do you need to deflect the ball? In this instance here, Kevin shows that by trying to catch it with two hands, all he has succeeded in doing is deflecting the ball into his own net. Whereas with the second example, because he's having some difficulty in getting both hands to that ball to catch it, because it's too far away, he extends the lower hand and makes the decision to deflect that ball, albeit for a corner, to safety. And that was a good decision. So look at the side diving position again. Ideally, we would collect the ball with both hands and, having received it, hide it away in the bank to discourage any further effort by the opposition. Having got the ball, Kevin is now an attacker, and a very important one, as we will explain later. In the next example, if the ball was as far away from Kevin as this when he's compelled to make a dive, by angling the shoulders you can get further extension of that lower hand, and that gives that extra 3 or 4 inches to make the fingertip save. So while Kevin is still diving on the side, this is a less comfortable position as he is now almost at full stretch, but that may be all he can do in the circumstances. It would be better to have a two-handed save if he could. Even better if he could utilise the third hand to make it even more effective. And in the best of all worlds, we'll not only get both hands to the ball and use that third hand, but we'd have some part of the body behind the ball as well. So here's Caitlin in that gorilla position again. Before we leave this very important principle, we need to emphasise that the gorilla posture, gunslinger position, head forward, nose pointing towards the ball, body weight rocked forward onto the balls of the feet, is the basic shape of the goalkeeper. Now have a look at the pro footage. Things happen so quickly here. Just before that shot is taken, we see our keeper is going low into the gorilla position. Same here. Our gorilla goalkeeper stays cool even though the shot's coming from a very short range, and he's able to react and make the save. And in the final example, the perfect side dive here makes sure that the hands receive the ball, but the body is there to complete the save in the side diving position. Our third principle is a very simple one, but very, very important. Staying alert and alive throughout the game. Goalkeepers should always be adjusting their position to where the ball is. As the ball gets switched, the keeper should move across and take a line between the ball and the goal. In the example here, we have Coach David taking the goalkeepers through their paces. We'll show you more of this practice later. All that is happening here is that Coach David is the ball and the mirror, and as he moves, our two keepers react immediately by moving in the same direction. Although we will come to that later, the simple principle here is to stay alert and alive and be forever adjusting to the changing circumstances of the game. Young keepers find it extremely difficult to maintain their concentration and alertness, particularly when the ball is down the field, and as a result get caught napping on through balls and such. In the pro footage, look very carefully at the movements of the goalkeeper here. As the ball approaches the penalty area, his movements are only small but very important as he gets into position ready to deal with any incoming shot, and by doing so is able to make a fairly simple save. In the next example, with the goalkeeper up towards the top of the 6-yard box, as the play changes, the keeper shuffles backwards, gets into position, and is ready then to react to the shot from just outside the 6-yard box. Staying alert and alive is a very important principle of goalkeeping. The next principle is stay on your feet as long as possible. If you can move into the line of the flight of the ball and therefore avoid the necessity to make a dive, so much the better. In this sequence here, Kevin has managed to stand up until the shot is on its way, and even though he's falling backwards a little, the ball hits him. As you will no doubt begin to appreciate, these 10 principles are very much interrelated. Body shape, our number 2 principle, is very closely related to staying on your feet and not falling backwards. Once you fall backwards, your body shape is all wrong. So stay on your feet and maintain your shape as long as you possibly can. In the example we see here, with the high school players in practice, the goalkeeper recovers from the near post on the cutback and stands up, and as a consequence makes an outstanding save. This is the stuff of goalkeeping. In the pro shot that you saw earlier, the goalkeeper takes up position and stays on his feet until the very last split second, when a reaction enables the save to be made. Same here. The goalkeeper can't get to the ball first, but takes up a good position and waits until the very last minute before making any sort of move. He stays on his feet as long as possible. Another situation which calls for cool nerves and great composure, with the shot coming in from a very short distance, but by staying on his feet, our goalkeeper is able to make the save. Another stay on the feet situation, as the play builds up and the defender is beaten. The goalkeeper retains his composure and retains his body shape, stays on his feet, and eventually charges down the potential goal-scoring shot. And here is a real test of goalkeeping nerve. One-on-one, no defender in close proximity. What does the goalkeeper do? He stands up and stays up, and eventually on the shot just makes himself as big a barrier as he can, and he makes a great save. And finally, we see an example of why he should stand up and not fall backwards. The goalkeeper here is in a very good position, but takes away his advantage by sitting back and eventually falling back to a shot which, had he stood up to, would only have been at head height. The fifth principle states that you should get as much of your body behind the ball as possible. That may only be a fingernail or a fingertip, maybe one hand, better still two hands, even better, two hands and some part of the body, preferably soft tissue, not bone. As we see with our keeper here, his hands are to the ball and he ends up looking more like Quasimodo as he puts his legs behind the ball. Note he is trying as far as possible to get his thigh rather than his knee as the secondary cover. So much will depend here on your own body shape and how you can most comfortably put the secondary cover of the body behind the hands. Goalkeepers with long legs will have a different technique than those goalkeepers with short legs. We've already seen the hand position as it comes into the middle of the body, but the secondary cover here is the stomach and the chest, and in actual fact we do know that the stomach provides a softer cushion than the chest, hopefully not too soft. Tony is shown here getting his hands to the ball and then exaggerating the whole sequence by pulling the ball into that secondary cover of his stomach. In the next case, with Kevin, because low balls are difficult to get your body behind, he has made what appears to be a meal of a save. He gets his hands to the ball and then falls forward onto his knees and thighs to enable him to pull the ball into his chest. Most goalkeepers have their own little idiosyncrasies in these types of situations. It's what works best for you. All we're saying is, as much of the body behind the ball as possible, and preferably for the secondary cover to be soft tissue. Here, in the side diving position shown by Kevin, the hands present the first surface, but the body comes in behind them, so that should the hands fail to catch the ball, the secondary cover helps prevent a sloppy goal. Similarly here, Kevin makes a simple save, and somewhat exaggerates it, but only to ensure the body's behind the ball and the ball is hidden away from the opposition. It is pretty obvious here that if the hands fail in this position, the secondary cover won't work very well. These are shins and shin pads and the ball will rebound from them. As we've said earlier, all that we may be able to get behind the ball would be a fingertip, and that may well be enough to make the save. It's better if it's a full hand, and then better still two hands. And finally, if we can, two hands and some part of the body behind the ball will be the preferred save. We've seen this shot before, but everything is right about the principles of goalkeeping: side diving, hands to the ball, body behind the ball, safe goalkeeping. In the next sequence, because the goalkeeper is thinking about the attack, he takes a chance in letting the ball bounce and does not have as much of the body behind the ball as we'd normally recommend. But because of the dry field conditions, he assesses the ball is going to bounce high, so he takes a calculated risk so that he can quickly initiate an attack. We've already talked a little bit about principle number 6, the set consideration. As we've mentioned, most of the principles are interrelated. Body shape is very much a part of getting set, and being set is the only time in the game when a goalkeeper is not moving. As we see here with Kevin, he moves out and makes sure he's set before the shot is taken. As the striker's head goes down, the goalkeeper must be set and ready for the shot. The nearer the shooter is to the goalkeeper, the lower will be the set position. As you see here, as Kevin is low and close to the ball, he is turning his palms out to make himself even bigger, even though he is squatting down. It is very important as goalkeepers move out from the goal that they are still not moving forwards when the shot is taken. That means you must get set sooner rather than later so that you are completely composed and ready for the incoming shot. However, should that shot not come in, the other considerations of being alert and alive continue, and the keeper must readjust to the next shot-taking situation. We have already talked about the gorilla position and the gunslinger position, and in this case, with Kevin here, if a shot was coming from the edge of the penalty area or just inside the penalty area, there would be no reason to be low, and there would be no reason for the hands to be turned out. The gorilla set position will be ideal in dealing with a shot from this distance. Similarly, the true gunslinger position here would still be fine for a shot from 18 yards or beyond. What wouldn't be good would be the hands-up surrender position that we've seen earlier. The hands and the arms are the quickest reacting part of the body and don't need to be up in readiness for a shot from 15 to 20 yards. So let's look at the pro footage to see how the top-class goalkeepers handle this type of situation. This goalkeeper has already put himself at risk with a not very effective goal kick, and as the ball is headed back by his own teammate, an opponent picks up the ball. All is not lost yet. It's still 1 against 1 and the goal has to be scored. But you can see that the final movements of the goalkeeper are forwards towards the ball, and as the shot is taken, he isn't set and therefore able to react. Similarly here, another wayward goal kick puts the goalkeeper under pressure, but all is not lost yet. But as he comes out to narrow the angle, he is not set when the shot is taken and therefore unable to react to make the save. In the next sequence, no such luck for the attacker. The goalkeeper gets set immediately before the shot and makes a comfortable save. Same here. Even in the intimidating circumstances of a player about to shoot from 9 yards out, our gorilla goalkeeper is set and ready to make that save, and it's an outstanding one. With the ball coming into the penalty area, it's a very intimidating circumstance for the goalkeeper. However, the best bet is to get into position, stand up and get set, which is exactly what our goalkeeper does here and makes a great reaction save. Watch closely the goalkeeper here as the play builds up towards the shot on goal. Immediately before the shot, he takes up a perfect position just in advance of the near post, holds that position, gets set and is ready for the shot and reacts by beating the shot away. Again, getting set and maintaining composure in very volatile circumstances in the penalty area is the hallmark of good goalkeeping. Our keeper is set, the shot comes in, and even though he doesn't completely make the save to start with, he recovers quickly to get the ball the second time. The 7th key principle states that the goalkeeper should react, not anticipate. This is very different from reading the game, which we'll touch on later in the video. But having done everything to get into position, and then just before the shot to get set, there really is no point in trying to second guess the shooter. As Caitlin demonstrates in this shot, as soon as she tries to go to one side, she totally loses the ability to go to the other side. All of her weight for the moment is on the right foot, and this disables her from making a reaction save for the ball. In the second instance, Caitlin holds the position, waits until the shot is on its way, and produces a good reaction save to safely secure the ball. As we've said before, all these principles are intertwined. Get the right shape in the gorilla position, get set, stay on your feet as long as possible, and then react to make the save. We've seen this action before and used it to illustrate some of the other principles. But our goalkeeper here gets into position immediately before the shot, gets set, and then produces the right sort of reaction, even though, from the response of the goalkeeper, he felt that he might have even caught it. but that is the decision aspect of goalkeeping we'll discuss later in the video. More action was seen before with excellent goalkeeping. The keeper moves into position, gets set, and then the final icing on the cake is this great reaction save to the most difficult shot there is, with the ball going across the body into the far corner. Great goalkeeping. Same here. Goalkeeper adjusts positions, eventually gets set, and then makes the decision on the reaction save that the ball can't be held and one-hands it away to safety. Another classic bit of goalkeeping. The goalkeeper is perfectly positioned, can't come out to catch the cross, but instead reacts from a set position to make a great one-handed save. Similar circumstances here. The goalkeeper can't get the cross, takes up the optimum position to defend the goal and makes a great reaction to deflect the ball into a safer area. And on the corner kick, the defence doesn't do the job they're supposed to, but the goalkeeper does, and from a composed set position produces the reaction save that keeps his team out of trouble. One place a goalkeeper doesn't want to be when he or she hasn't got the ball is on the ground. You can see here from the belly flopping action that it's not a very good position to recover from in preparation for the next piece of action, which might be a shot. Similarly, as we've seen before, rolling on the back does not aid recovery. So recovery back onto the feet as quickly as possible is an important principle of goalkeeping. Particularly so when a deflection save has been made or a goalkeeper has committed himself or herself to a shot, which is blocked before it reaches the goalkeeper. The requirement when the goalkeeper does not have the ball and the ball is still in play is to get back on the feet as quickly as possible. In the activity we're showing here, Coach David is doing some shadow goalkeeping with the understanding that as soon as the dive is made, that it's only a partial save so that the goalkeeper needs to recover ready for the second shot. Many of the things we've talked about earlier come into play here, with the side diving consideration being the most important. Notice here how very important that both legs aren't pulled over. Otherwise, the body goes into a rolling position, which makes it impossible for that moment to get back on the feet. So you can see the side diving position is the best, and that Kevin on the final dive, by rolling around after the imagined partial save, is unable to recover quickly back to his feet.
Deflected.
So in this example of the shot on goal, Kevin makes the decision to deflect the ball to the side of the goal and then very quickly recovers for any second shot coming in. Same with Caitlin. She makes a partial save, doesn't deflect it too far, but needs to recover very quickly to complete the save. Maybe it would have been even better for Caitlin to use one hand to deflect the ball wider of the goal. Goalkeepers won't always cleanly catch the ball and must develop the habit of making very quick recoveries. In the game footage, a hard shot rebounds off the goalkeeper, but the keeper is back on the feet and into position in readiness for a second shot. Same here. A strong shot at goal, the goalkeeper goes down and finds the ball rebounding off the body, but is very quickly back on his feet charging down the next shot. This was exceptional goalkeeping, which we'll discuss in more detail later. The next instance sees 3 shots in rapid succession. The first one the goalkeeper is not able to handle, but recovers quickly to make the second save. Fortunately for him, the third shot is misplaced and got him out of trouble as he tried to anticipate. In the next instance, the goalkeeper makes a partial save, stays on his feet and recovers quickly to make a forward dive to save the ball. And finally, a rebound produces a great recovery and a double save. Excellent goalkeeping. The 9th principle of goalkeeping is the DCO: decisions, communication and organisation. Kevin here is moving around the goal, communicating with his defence, always alert and alive, as we talked about earlier, and will need to make decisions on behalf of his team and himself as the action gets nearer to his goal. In the pro footage, some indecision between the defender and the goalkeeper leads to a mix-up. In these circumstances, the goalkeeper must take charge and order the defender to send the attacker wide. The goalkeeper's greatest error here appears to be his poor communication, but we can only guess. No doubt there were prolonged discussions in the locker room after the game as to who should have done what. In the next action, a cross from a wide position results in an early decision made by the goalkeeper, which he must have communicated to his defenders because they allowed him to come and catch a very difficult cross. Same with the next one. An early decision by the goalkeeper on the corner kick enables his defenders to leave the space clear for him to come and make a very good catch. This ninth principle is one of the most difficult aspects of goalkeeping, particularly for young goalkeepers. Making early decisions, communicating those decisions, and going into action all go to compound the problem. A very good reason why these situations need to be practiced. And finally, the 10th key principle of goalkeeping, the ever increasingly important role of the goalkeeper as an attacker. Once the save has been made, the goalkeeper then is the first attacker. Always the goalkeeper should think of quickly transitioning from defence to offence. So whether it's rolling or throwing the ball out to a teammate, punting the ball down the field, taking goal kicks or switching the play from crosses, the first thing a goalkeeper should do on receiving the ball is to look for the greatest penetration forward. If your team has a striker marked by only one defender on the halfway line, and if the goalkeeper has the capability of kicking or throwing that far, that should be the first priority. Often this isn't the case, and shorter throws or wider throws and kicks are the best decisions to be made. And finally, the back pass, which has revolutionised the goalkeeping position in a very positive way. Nowadays, the goalkeeper is very much a footballer, and this aspect of the game has to be practiced frequently. In this spectacular piece of pro footage, this world-class keeper catches the ball and immediately looks to become the first attacker and launches an incredible throw, resulting in a goal at the other end. Unfortunately, in the next piece of action, the goalkeeper with the ball at his feet makes a blooper and gives the ball away and pays the full penalty for his error. Back to our world-class keeper and a similar situation to the one we saw before, as he quickly collects the ball, looks forward, sees an opening and throws a long ball into a forward position which is picked up by an attacking player. Before you know it, it's a goal at the other end. Goal kicks are very important, and this is another spectacular example of how a long goal kick can be converted into a goal. Whereas in the next effort, the goalkeeper unfortunately has some problems with the back pass, and instead of moving it wide on the left-hand side, hits the opponent with disastrous effects. Here is another example of why we need to work on goal kicks, not just as a goalkeeper, but also as a team. Another attempt only puts the opposition on the attack and results in a goal. Same here. A poor goal kick puts the goalkeeper under pressure and he pays the ultimate penalty. Whereas the keeper here shows great composure right in front of his own goal and plays the ball safely to the wide part of the field with a long kick. So those are our 10 key principles of goalkeeping. And in the rest of the video, we'll continually refer to them, as these will greatly help the coach and the goalkeeper in evaluating performance. In the early part of the video, we looked at the 10 key principles of goalkeeping, and these should always be kept in mind, both as a goalkeeper and as a coach of goalkeepers. The secret of successful goalkeeping is to know your own strengths and weaknesses. A goalkeeper 6 feet 5 tall would play the position differently than one at 5 feet 8. So bearing that in mind, let's look at some of the subtleties and nuances demonstrated by our professional goalkeepers involved in playing the position. In this action here, as the play moves into the penalty area, we can see our goalkeeper is aware of the chip and is moving backwards, but he's unable to get set when the shot is taken. He was a bit unlucky as the ball went through his legs, but because he wasn't set and because he was moving backwards, he was unable to react properly to the shot. It is usually better when caught in these positions to hold your ground and take the consequences of maybe not being as well positioned as you might like to be. You've always got a second chance if you're set and able to react. Look very carefully at our goalkeeper here. We see that when the ball is 7 or 8 yards outside the penalty area, that he has advanced to within 2 or 3 yards of the top of the 6-yard box. Being a big goalkeeper, at this stage, there's little or no chance of chipping him. But as the ball goes across the top of the 18-yard box, the keeper makes another adjustment, and because he is tall, feels quite confident in taking an advanced and aggressive position right up on the top of the 6-yard box. And then he's able to react to the shot and make a comfortable save. Smaller goalkeepers might not want to be as aggressive in their position off the line as our keeper here. The same here, and the same goalkeeper. Watch the feet as the goalkeeper ebbs and flows and dances into position, ever alert, always looking at the changed circumstances and responding accordingly. Eventually he takes up a perfect position at the near post and ready for a shot coming in. He continues to adjust to the cross and goes into a low gorilla position in readiness for the shot. He is set and therefore able to successfully react. In this case, he decides there isn't sufficient time to get the hands right and make the catch, even though from the keeper's reaction he felt that possibly he might have done so. On this next shot, a long ball played forward into the penalty area requires the goalkeeper to make a quick decision. Should he come and get it, or should he hold his ground? As you will see here, he makes a good decision because had the goalkeeper gambled, he may well not have got to the ball before the attacker. Notice too, this type of shot, which is extremely difficult when it's played across to the far post, and the reaction of the goalkeeper here is a great one. Initially, it's a one-handed save, and then he's able to bring the second hand to safely secure the ball. Look again at the keeper in the next piece of action. The ball is played into a wider position, and there is a little gliding movement made by the goalkeeper in readiness for the shot. He gets set, but the shot doesn't come. Instead, it's a semi-cross. Another quick adjustment to the feet, and then gets set again for the header that might have come in, but it didn't. So now the header by the second player requires action by the keeper, and the keeper stays on his feet as long as possible to get nearer to the ball before launching himself to make a great save. As the play builds up, we can't see the goalkeeper yet, but we do know he must be prepared for a shot at any time, and eventually a shot comes in from 30 yards, very well struck. Our keeper once again is being fairly aggressive by getting right up on the top of the 6-yard box, but because he's tall, he's less likely to be chipped. But on this occasion, he's unable to hold onto the ball. But just look at what happens next. Most goalkeepers would be well advised to have recovered as our goalkeeper does here, and then merely get set and stand up, but not this keeper. He's very aggressive, very brave, and actually charges down the shot. As a keeper, you have to decide, is this the way you will play? And as a coach, you need to evaluate the ability of the keeper to be able to do this. Certainly, you need to recover quickly. You need to be on your feet, and at the very minimum, be set ready for the shot coming in. If you can do what our keeper has done here, well, that puts you in the great category. Again, an attack moving into the penalty area. Our first view of the keeper is in a position at the top of the 6-yard box, and then he realises that his own defender has been bypassed and makes a quick decision to come out into this one-on-one situation and dive to take the ball. These are critical situations for keepers, and precise decisions have to be made. Had the goalkeeper missed the ball, then almost inevitably he would have taken the legs of the player and the penalty would have resulted. Another situation with the goalkeeper caught one-on-one with the defence nowhere in sight. What to do? It's cat and mouse. As the attacker is unable to shoot, the keeper closes down and closes right down until he sees now he has a chance of taking the ball, and does so by spreading the body and initially taking it with the legs rather than the hands. Once more, great care needs to be taken in these situations, because if the goalkeeper had not got the ball, it would either have been a certain goal as the player goes past him, or a penalty if he takes the player's legs, and the real possibility that the referee would give the goalkeeper a red card. Normally, when a ball is played in from 30 yards or more from the goal, the keeper must be close to the goal line, otherwise they're in danger of being chipped. We can't see where the goalkeeper is yet, but as soon as we do, guess what? There he is within a yard or two of the goal line, and he maintains his composure and is set. The reaction is not immediate, because the keeper has to evaluate just where the ball is going. But when he does react, he realises there's not enough time to get across, so he makes the dive and makes an excellent decision to deflect the ball wide of the goal, even though he was entering the back of the net himself. The next action is at the top of the 18-yard box. Once again, the goalkeeper can't be too far out because as the attacker turns, the goalkeeper mustn't be exposed to the chip. But because the ball is at ground level, there is less chance of a ball being chipped from there than a bouncing ball which could be lobbed over the goalkeeper. We have replicated that in the through ball practice in part 2 of the second video. So as the play builds up, the keeper is watching the action. You can see now he glides across into a new position as it now becomes a near post situation. As the head goes down, he gets set. And because the shot is from very close in, he even elects to fall backwards a little to gain more time. While it might seem to contradict our don't fall back rule, he didn't fall back until the shot was on its way and used that time of falling backwards to ensure he secured the ball. These are some of the subtle differences that the goalkeeper must make while at the same time following the 10 principles of goalkeeping. In this sequence, the goalkeeper finds himself in a situation no keeper ever wants to be in. On the ground, not with the ball, and with the ball still in the field of play. Very obviously, the first thing to do is to recover, and he attempts to do that from the awkward position in which he finds himself. But before a full recovery is made, the shot is on its way. And it's a strange shot, a volley down into the ground and rebounding upwards. The keeper has made a commitment to where he thought the shot was going. We do say, react, do not anticipate. On the other hand, the keeper has attempted to read the situation given the desperate circumstances he was in. What saved the day at the end was a great reaction to keep the ball out of the back of the net with his hand. Not everything will go right in goalkeeping, but just so long as the ball is not in the back of the net, a goalkeeper has a chance. And no goalkeeper should ever give up on any shot until it has crossed the goal line and into the net. A very good volley here leaves the goalkeeper with little time to come out to take the cross. When the ball drops in from the cross, it's a good 8 or 9 yards from the goal. One could argue if the keeper had moved early, he might have come and punched the cross. But if there are any doubts in a goalkeeper's mind, they should always stay where they've got a second chance on or near the goal line. And this is what happens here. Great header, but an even better reaction, and the one-handed save prevents the ball from going into the back of the net. This is a particularly good angle from this elevated camera position to see good goalkeeping in action. Initially, it looks like it might be a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but the keeper recognises there's a recovering defender making a good inside run to try to get back into contention with the attacker. Therefore, the keeper decides not to come and risk interfering with the work of the defender. What does happen next, though, is the goalkeeper makes a very early decision and converts that into very quick action to come for the cross, which is sliding in behind his own defender. These are particularly difficult balls to deal with, as you can see. The keeper is coming out almost head first to the ball with an attacker moving in. There is obviously a risk of physical danger as you dive forwards onto the ball. The other soccer risk is if the ball is not secured and is pushed away by the goalkeeper, is the keeper is on the ground and out of the game, and that will make it easy for the attacker to knock in the rebound. But that's not the case here because our top-class goalkeeper pulls out another piece of top-notch goalkeeping. In the next sequence, again look very closely at the position of the goalkeeper, which is perfect. As the ball is played in towards the penalty area, our keeper moves from a central goal position towards the near post. As the ball is pulled back, you can see the near post position, and we'll spend more time in the second part of the video looking at those near post considerations. The keeper is always expecting a shot, and as the player receives the ball and the head goes down, the goalkeeper gets set. In the final piece of this action, the goalkeeper has covered the near post and gone down into a low gorilla position. Just before the shot is taken, he shuffles into a set position with his nose in front of the near post. In the second part of the video, we will look at practices for goalkeepers in exactly this position. Because the goalkeeper is perfectly positioned, the ball strikes his hands, and because of the power of the shot and the short distance involved, the keeper is unable to catch the ball, but is definitely able to deflect the ball to safety. In the next action, when we first see the goalkeeper, he is in a fairly advanced position beyond the 6-yard box. Because he's tall, he can afford to take more advanced positions, and this helps when the through ball is played. Now the goalkeeper has a dilemma. He is 12 yards out of goal, 1 against 1, and the attacker is in control of the ball. This is where the keeper has to remain exceptionally cool while at the same time putting as much pressure on the attacker as he can. He does this by staying on his feet, and notice his body shape and posture. His shoulders are always to the ball, even though he has to move across with a cross-leg action to quickly take up new positions. This is like one-on-one defending for field players, where of course they can't use the hands, but the same principles apply. And now in the final split second, when the goalkeeper knows the shot is coming, he goes low into a blocking position and deflects the ball away to safety. Remember, this is a world-class goalkeeper, making the right decisions and following the principles we've been talking about, and in particular, staying on the feet as long as possible. An expression in the old country is, if in doubt, do nout. Nout means nothing. If you're not sure whether you should come or whether you should stay, there is no point in moving away from a final defending position in front of goal. You stay by your line, and this is the case here. The keeper thinks about coming out, but then decides that it's too risky and too uncertain to be able to guarantee the save. So then he puts on the brakes, goes into reverse because at this moment in time, he's okay to do that as there's no shot imminent. When the shot is about to be taken, he's back in a set position and therefore able to react to this fast shot, which in spite of his height, the goalkeeper decides the safest action is to deflect the ball over the goal. Even in this situation, because he's been moving backwards, there's still that tendency to fall backwards just a little bit. So these are the subtleties and nuances of the game, and here we have world-class demonstrators showing us just how to do it. The through ball again. In part 2 of the video, we will show you practices that replicate situations like this. As we see here, the goalkeeper is in a difficult situation, 1 against 1, with a player facing the goal entering the penalty area. What to do? The speed of the attacker has given them a 2 to 3 yards advantage, and as he moves into the penalty area, our goalkeeper is in a situation we've seen before, 8 or 9 yards out from goal. He would really like to be further back, and he does try to move backwards. But you can see by doing so, when he reacts as he moves backwards, he falls backwards, and the body mass is taken away from the flight of the shot. Very difficult situation for the goalkeeper. But as we said earlier, the best bet is to stand up and hold your ground. As a coach and as a goalkeeper, it is worth looking at the type of action we've just seen, studying it closely to see the good things and maybe the not so good things that can happen with a goalkeeper. Even at the highest level, as we've been seeing here, goalkeepers make mistakes, both of technique and of judgment. This next section is devoted to practices that a coach can do with a goalkeeper, or even goalkeepers can do with a friend or another goalkeeper. It's almost impossible to give goalkeepers enough time during the team practice to satisfy their needs. If goalkeepers are going to improve, they need to take every opportunity of working on the development aspects of the position. This practice is called the 6-shot stop, where the coach simulates different shots that the goalkeeper could have to deal with during a game. For younger goalkeepers, it may be a 3-shot stop or a 4-shot stop, because too many repetitions will lead to fatigue and sloppy technique, and that's not what we're trying to develop here. The simple rule is that as the coach serves the ball and the save is made, the goalkeeper returns the ball to the coach before getting back on his feet. In fact, the keeper uses that throw to get back into the recovered position. You may say that this is artificial, but then all practices, to a greater or lesser extent, are artificial. But to do this successfully, the big benefit is the goalkeeper must dive on the side in order to be able to throw the ball back and make the recovery back to the feet. So the coach is simulating a shot for a side diving save or a high catch or a downwards header, and always asking the keeper to throw it directly back into the hands. The idea is to extend the keeper, not to beat him or her. It's worth having a second ball close by just in case the goalkeeper is forced to make a deflection save, in which case the keeper recovers back into position and the practice continues with the second ball. And maybe on the sixth save or the final save, you may extend that goalkeeper just a little bit more so that if they do have to deflect the ball, it doesn't stop the practice. Have a look at Caitlin here doing the same practice. With Caitlin, we've encouraged her to switch the motor on before she gets set. Caitlin has a tendency with balls that are to the side of her to gamble and not get her hands and shoulders right. We say hands and shoulders to the ball. We don't want to be turning sideways to make the save, and this is exactly what happens here with Caitlin. As the coach simulates a downward header, Caitlin moves the feet to get across the goal. But at this stage, as the ball bounces, the ball is outside her body. And you can see her right hand is becoming almost totally ineffective. This is just an experience. What Caitlin will learn to do in these circumstances in the future would be to make a small dive to the left in order to get her hands right with both palms facing the ball. And though that might appear to be exaggerating and embellishing the save, it is not. It is ensuring that the ball is safely and easily secured. And this is one of the purposes of this particular practice, to develop good habits, good side diving techniques, and to get the hands right in dealing with shots on goal. So the second time around, Caitlin is encouraged to move off the line a little bit. No goalkeeper needs to be right on the line when facing a shot from the front of the goal, and her technique is good. Still a little bit of a gamble with the ball to the side, but she gets it this time, and then she finally makes a half save and recovers to her feet to complete it. It's important in these practices that the coach insists on high quality performance. The next time we'd expect Caitlin to recover just that little bit faster to complete the save. So if we do have a problem with the basic side diving technique, what do we do? Our suggestion is the goalkeeper starts in a kneeling upright position as Tony shows us here. The ball is then rolled to the side and the keeper collapses to that side with the hands leading to take the ball. The ball is then thrown back to the coach and the throw is used to help pump the goalkeeper back up into the kneeling position. Because Tony technically is very good, you can see as he rolls and pumps the ball back to the coach, he's also forcing the coach to move backwards because, as a goalkeeper, he's attacking the ball. He's not actually diving sideways, he's diving slightly forwards. Some coaches recommend this as a starting position to learn side diving. But as you see here, when you roll on the side to take the ball, you're in effect simulating a falling backwards save instead of a side diving body position. It might look okay, but our recommendation would be to start in a kneeling position, not in a sitting position. So have a look at Caitlin doing the same thing that Tony was doing, and you can see her side diving techniques are very good. Have a careful look too at her lower leg and upper leg. Lower leg trailing comfortably, upper leg and knee pulled in towards the ball, and then pump back to facilitate returning to the upright position. What we would suggest to Caitlin is that she lifts her head a little more than she's doing here to prevent the tendency for her to begin to roll onto her back. The progression from the pendulum roll, as we've called this activity, is to go into the squat thrust practice. Tony here starts in a crouched position, which means it's not going to be a high dive or a body rattling dive, which for a goalkeeper learning the diving rudiments will present a much gentler way of doing it. Some coaches even start in a sandpit to make a more comfortable landing surface while learning the diving techniques. Both for the pendulum roll and with the squat thrust, our recommendation would be no more than 6 shots and then a rest, and for younger goalkeepers, not as many as 6. 3 or 4 will be ample. We're developing good techniques, not endurance diving. And once more, notice how Tony attacks the ball and in doing so forces the coach back. Same with Caitlin.